It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, Joe Biden will be sworn in as the 46th President of the United States.
Even with a chilly start to our morning, the winds, they are shifting. That's actually going to lift us above normal for the next several days. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And for the first time, a shelter dog will call the White House home. We'll look at what that means to local animal shelters. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Unprecedented security is in place in Washington, D.C. for today's inauguration. Shortly before noon, Joe Biden will be sworn in as the nation's 46th president, right after Kamala Harris makes history as the country's first ever female vice president. Unlike past inaugurations, the National Mall will be mostly empty for today's ceremony, due in part to security concerns following the assault on the Capitol. President-elect Joe Biden is planning to hit the ground running. The Biden-Harris transition team has released the schedule for their first day in office, and it includes signing more than a dozen executive orders, such as ordering a mask mandate on federal properties and reversing some of the Trump administration's orders, like rejoining the Paris Climate Accord and halting the United States' departure from the World Health Organization. He's also expected to end the ban on travel from some Muslim-majority countries and halt funding for the border wall. When it comes to the effects of the pandemic on the economy, Biden plans to sign executive orders extending the existing nationwide moratorium on evictions and foreclosures until at least March 31st, and pausing student loan payments and interest for Americans with federal student loans until at least September 30th. In one of his last acts as president, Donald Trump issued a score of pardons and commutations. In total, there were 73 pardons and 70 commutes. Included in the list was his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon. Bannon was accused of defrauding millions of dollars in fundraising campaign purportedly aimed at supporting Trump's border wall. President Trump also granted clemency to the rappers Lil Wayne and Kodak Black. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation released new details on a death investigation out of Arcadia, Kansas. On January 13th, Crawford County deputies received a tip about a body at the house of Arcadia resident 37-year-old Nicholas Carrillo. When deputies found a body on the property, Carrillo ran. He was found 2 days later on January 15th and arrested on drug charges. Authorities say the body belongs to Derek Yule of Kansas City, Missouri, who was reported missing, and that the death happened at a hotel in Kansas City. Carrillo is now charged with criminal desecration of a body. A Veneta, Oklahoma man is charged with domestic assault after police say he intentionally drove his car off the road with his family inside. 35-year-old Kevin Hyben is charged with 4 counts of first-degree domestic assault. According to the Missouri Highway Patrol, on January 6th, Hyben, his wife, and 3 kids were in a car on Jute Road 5 miles north of Seneca. Authorities say Hyben then deliberately drove the vehicle off the road and into a tree, injuring everyone inside, some of them seriously. Oklahomans run into some problems trying to schedule appointments for the coronavirus vaccinations. On January 7th, the Oklahoma State Department of Health launched the vaccine registration portal. The portal is supposed to let residents know when they're eligible for vaccinations and allow them to schedule an appointment if they already are. But some Ottawa County residents say they can't get an appointment, including residents who've received their first dose of the vaccine and have to use the portal to schedule their second dose. Deputy Commissioner of Health Keith Reed says the department is adding appointments as vaccines come in, but availability will continue to be low as vaccines continue to trickle into the state.
We are working on getting second dose appointments put into the system further out. That will make it easier for somebody to go in and get their second dose appointment further out into the future, which should eliminate a lot of those issues.
Commissioner Reed also says vaccine supply in the state is still extremely limited because the reserve of vaccines that the federal government was supposed to be holding for second doses does not exist. The Joplin City Council met last night, and one of the things discussed is COVID cost. According to the report presented, the city requested just over $1 million in CARES funding from Jasper and Newton counties and has received just under $500,000 through December 28th in reimbursements between the two counties. Officials are anticipating additional future costs totaling around $181,000.
County has used all of their CARES dollars. Jasper County still has some remaining CARES dollars. And so we're still doing contact tracing, case investigation. We may have costs related to vaccinations. We still have quarantine situations that we're responsible for. And so we'll still be able to submit those costs to Jasper County.
Haas says although the president extended the CARES deadlines through December 31st of this year, Missouri Governor Mike Parson at this time has only extended the deadline through June. The Joplin Historic Preservation Commission met yesterday to discuss the status of projects around the city. That includes plans for the future of Memorial Hall. The commission did not determine anything at this time, but scheduled a final public meeting for May 6th. Also discussed a project to put up signs at the city's cemeteries, giving some history to them.
I think it's great. I think that, often when people visit cemeteries, those were places that they were often considered like the first public parks before we really had a park system. So I think it's really good that we have that information there and available for people.
Cemetery signs are being put up now, showing that the cemeteries are designated as historic sites. Well, if you live in an old house, you might have wondered what pieces of history are hiding under the floorboards. Well, a construction crew renovating the Schiffer-Decker house in Joplin uncovered some of that history. Workers found around 400 pieces of dishes, bottles, hand tools, and other household items, even bones, though officials say they are not human. Brad Bilk, the preservation director and curator of the restoration project, says the items are from around the 1890s. Bilk hopes to get the items cleaned and put on display in the future.
Well, Brad will take care of them. We know that. That guy does amazing stuff with not only the history of Joplin, but the entire 4 states as well. We should all owe him a debt of gratitude the way that man is just a walking encyclopedia of 4-state history. That's pretty cool right there.
Makes you wonder why all of that was stored under the floor.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
The question we'll never be able to answer.
Somebody come through and they were trying to hide it, or I don't know.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know when they moved, they were just like, put it with the Da Vinci underneath the couch. There you go. All right, Tanya, Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. A little bit of a chill here on our Wednesday morning air, 27 degrees, and that wind creating a little bit of a wind chill. Only feels like it's 20 right now in Joplin. Heavier cloud cover down to our southwest. Everybody else off to a pretty gorgeous sunrise that officially is over us at 7:29 at Joplin, 25 in Pittsburgh, only 19 though in Iola, and 28 in Neosho. Watch the wind arrows spin around, a little clockwise motion, and they're going to move in from the south here pretty much all day long. Now those numbers that we see, that's kind of tame for the time being because they are going to drastically increase, feed us some of that southwestern warmth. And this system down here in Texas, we are going to see it make a little northerly push through Oklahoma, but it's going to be hard pressed to really create much of a difference in our weather. Look at that little cold front they carved out for themselves right there along the Great Lakes. No thank you, sir. Weather trend has us up into the 50s today. It's going to be just delightful for the latter half of January, even with our increased cloud cover here as we move throughout the course of our Wednesday. That's that system I was talking about out of Texas. It's going to be our far southern counties that'll get just some light rain Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Everything going to stay south of I-44. And really, for the most part, everything up here looking pretty clear. Now, for the 7-day forecast, this isn't too bad. Overnight lows close to 40 degrees in between Wednesday and Thursday, back into the 50s on Thursday, and then 40s as we head into the weekend. Tanya?
Well, up next, why scientists in China may have found a way to delay aging. And we'll give you a brief history of presidential pets in the White House. You're watching the KOAM. Have scientists in China discovered the fountain of youth? Not exactly, but they say they have developed a new gene therapy And that is as close as we may get. The therapy is said to reverse some effects of aging in mice and may extend their lifespans by 25%. It involves inactivating a gene called CAT7 in the livers of the mice, which experts say is a key contributor to cellular aging.
These mice show after 6 to 8 months, they show overall improved appearance and grip strength, and most importantly, they have extended lifespan for about 25%.
While it may take quite a while before humans are used to test this new discovery, researchers say they hope to test on primates next. Exciting. As the coronavirus vaccine becomes available to more Americans, a new study suggests your mental and physical health can affect how your body reacts to the vaccine. Mandy Gaither explains.
If you're still waiting your turn to get the COVID-19 vaccine, you have time to boost your body's response to it, according to recent research.
Ironically, the pandemic itself is fueling a lot of these risk factors for a poor vaccine response.
Annalise Madison, an Ohio State University researcher, is first author of a paper accepted for publication in the journal Perspectives on Psychological Science. The research focused on different vaccines over the past 30 years. It found self-care is key to vaccine efficacy.
These risk factors, including stress, depression, loneliness, poor health behaviors, can impact the side effects to the vaccine. They can impact the amount of time it takes to develop immunity to COVID-19.
Madison says poor mental and physical health may also shorten the time in which the vaccine works, but she says focusing on things like getting good sleep or even exercising within 24 hours of getting a COVID shot can boost its response.
I think it's a helpful and hopeful message that in this time when there's so much outside of our control, that we can exert some control over our mental and physical health.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Researchers say stress and anxiety can play a role in vaccine responses, even for those who are healthy. She says keeping that in mind can help. Well, people in Missouri can take advantage of free COVID-19 testing in several counties, and that includes Jasper. The only requirement is that you are a Missouri resident, but you don't have to be a resident of Jasper County. We provided a link to the online registration on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A pair of pro surfers were caught on camera riding monstrous 50-foot waves in Hawaii. Francisco Porcello and Justine DuPont both braved the swells at Pihahi on Maui's North Shore, which is nicknamed Jaws. And for good reason. This time of year, the location can produce whopping waves topping 70 feet tall. That's pretty. That is pretty.
We haven't talked a lot about it, but I just was glancing at it the other day. There's been a lot going on, not only in Hawaii, but also Alaska. They've had massive surf warnings. They've got flood warnings everywhere. Alaska's in the middle of a huge winter snowstorm. And sometimes we concentrate so much on the contiguous 48, we don't have time to pay attention to what's going on out in the far west. So yeah, that's amazing right there. 70-foot waves. Whew!
Quite a surf.
Terra firma, I'll take it. Weather almanac for our January 20th. 32 is as high as we've been so far, but we're going to be able to eclipse our average high of 45 degrees now that the sun beginning to sneak out. Southwest cloud cover. Everybody else, even up here where we're seeing a little bit to the northeast, that's very, very light. Entire Midwest remains on the dry side. Got some snow reports up there by the Great Lakes, some high wind reports up here in the upper Midwest, but nothing for us. So we're actually very, very quiet. It's delightful. Freeman Health System sky camera with those skies beginning to lighten up right there. 27 degrees with a wind chill right now of 20. 25 in Pittsburgh, 26 in Independence. Let's roll 28 in Carthage. Now, as the wind flips around, it's going to come in from the south. We'll see these numbers increase. We'll be up to about 15 to 20 miles an hour here by the noon hour, and that also is creating a little bit of a wind chill. Ooh, we're down to 13 now in Iola, 21 in Mount Vernon, feels like 22 in Commerce. Now, as we talk about the contiguous 48, that's the system right there. It's going to try to make a little northeasterly push toward us. Not going to really amount to anything. You're going to have to push into the far southern 4 states really to find any rain here by the end of the day. Highs in the 50s overnight, very, very mild as the cloud cover continues to grow. And we're able to stay in the high 30s. That's going to be wonderful. Don't have to worry about scraping the car windshield tomorrow. Okay, that's that rain we were talking about coming out of Texas right there for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Like I said, you're going to have to get south of I-44. And then Thursday, we're going to roll additional temperatures up into the 50s. After that, back to seasonable weather there Friday and Saturday. Chance for rain over the weekend. Maybe even a little wintry mix there by the time we get to Monday. We'll be back with more KOAM. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, our question, how do you think history will remember the presidency of Donald Trump? We'll kick our comments off with Jim Armstrong, who writes, he wrote and tarnished his legacy. Too bad he could have done something special, just did not know how to lead and support the people positively. Jim says, sad for the country. Joe Page says he's the only president who actually kept his word and did more for our country than anyone before him. He stood against the radical left and challenged the career political party, greatly appreciated his time in office. Too bad he didn't get to serve a second term, even though he won the election. And Wendy Estes says, I'm sure the Dems are going to make sure to reply and make it know how they feel on my opinion, but oh well, I thought having Trump in office was amazing. He was the best businessman and knew exactly how to get everything done that needed done. He kept all the promises he said, and we even had gas prices the lowest they'd ever been in 10 years or more. Wendy says he will be greatly missed. On our Insta poll this morning, it's a close one. Right now, 46% of you say history will remember Donald J. Trump as unfavorable as the president, and 42% of you say favorably. So really everything going hand in hand. You can make your voice heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Tanya?
Well, as the Bidens move into their new address today at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they'll be joined by their trusty canine companions. Champ and Major will be the first 4-legged residents in the White House since Bo and Sonny moved out in January of 2017. And while dogs have historically been the most popular presidential pet, that doesn't mean other animals haven't served our country as presidential pets. Take Ophelia Bush, a Texas Longhorn from the most recent Bush administration. Or Sox Clinton. Here, he's answering questions about the 1995 budget crisis. Remember that? Go way back and you can learn about Woodrow Wilson's sheep and how they helped to take care of the front yard. But it does pose the question, what do Champ and Major bring to the table? For Champ, setting up shop on Pennsylvania Avenue is nothing too new. He served his country as the first go around while his parents were vice president and the second lady. Now, Major, however, is the new guy on the block. And while he's not the first adopted dog to live in the White House, he is the first shelter dog to do so. We asked Teresa Smith with the Carthage Humane Society if it means anything to her, and her response, absolutely.
It doesn't matter who a person is. Then when they take on a rescue dog, they've helped many different people at that time besides that animal. Our goal is to make sure every animal leaves our shelter healthy, in good health, and we check out all of our potential homes where they go into, and it makes it exciting because it means that somebody went out there and got a dog that might have had problems or might not have been in the loving situation that they deserve to have. So we're real excited.
Well, the impact something like this can have on animal shelters across the country really can't be understated. On Sunday, an inauguration was held for the German Shepherd by the Delaware Humane Society. Get this, it raised $200,000 for the shelter in the process. That's impressive. Well, coming up in our next half hour, we'll learn about an opportunity that the Carthage Humane Society has this morning and how you... It's time to honor today's four-state hero, John Masterson Sr., a member of the United States Navy during the Vietnam War. He served aboard the USS Mount Katmai. His hometown, Iola, Kansas. We are proud to salute John Masterson, our four-state hero. A Lee's Summit, Missouri woman is reminding people with the inauguration happening in D.C. to be kind. and she's doing it one painted rock at a time. Alan Shope explains.
The right message seems to find the right person when they need it.
Karen Hoke hopes people will pass by her home in Lee Summit on Wednesday and just remember,
Kindness is something that everybody could spread.
She says with Wednesday's inauguration, she hopes there won't be any violence.
The world we live in right now feels very hot, and this is a cooling mechanism.
Karen started her Kindness Rock Garden in 2017 after the passing of her daughter, Alyssa. Since, it's become a neighborhood spot for expression and release.
It's very therapeutic to spend the time. I often will paint the things I need to hear.
Just a rock with an anonymous message to hopefully make people think about others.
On all days, but especially on days like tomorrow, I would hope they just take a pause and they realize that there are more things that bring us together than separate us.
Karen says it's a pretty simple idea. Just paint a rock, leave a rock, or take a rock.
I've been thinking about what I'm going to paint tonight when I sit down.
Something she always thinks about.
And it's going to be tolerance, it's going to be peace.
Because she says
we have the ability to create a world that's just kinder to each other. We don't have to agree, and violence is never acceptable.
It's always fun finding the painted rocks. Karen has more information on her Kindness Rock Garden on its Facebook page called Alyssa's Wishes. Well, another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, our own Jesse Irwin sits down with Teresa Smith from the Carthage Humane Society to share details of a unique fundraiser that's going on today. Plus, what's behind a spike in gun sales ahead of Inauguration Day? You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation releases new details on a death investigation out of Arcadia, Kansas. On January 13th, Crawford County deputies received a tip about a body at the Arcadia house of 37-year-old Nicholas Carrillo. When deputies found a body on the property, Carrillo ran. He was found 2 days later on January 15th and arrested on drug charges. Authorities say the body belongs to Derek Ewell of Kansas City, Missouri, who was reported missing, and that the death happened at a hotel in Kansas City. Carrillo is now charged with criminal desecration of a body. A Veneta, Oklahoma man is charged with domestic assault after police say he intentionally drove his car off the road with his family inside. 35-year-old Kevin Hyben is charged with 4 counts of first-degree domestic assault. According to the Missouri Highway Patrol, on January 6th, Hyben, his wife, and 3 kids were in a car on Jute Road, 5 miles north of Seneca. Authorities say Hyben then deliberately drove the vehicle off the road and into a tree, injuring everyone inside, some of them seriously. Ottawa County residents hit a roadblock when trying to schedule their COVID-19 vaccine appointments. Some Oklahomans say they haven't been able to schedule appointments for their second dose of the vaccine on the state's web portal. Deputy Commissioner of Health Keith Reed says the department is adding appointments as vaccines come in, but availability will continue to be low as vaccines continue to trickle into the state. The Joplin City Council met last night. One of the things they discussed, COVID cost. According to the report presented, the city requested just over $1 million in CARES funding from Jasper and Newton counties and has received just under $500,000. That's through December 28th in reimbursements between the 2 counties. Officials are anticipating additional future costs totaling around $181,000. February is Black History Month, and the U.S. Cellular is getting kids ready with an art contest beginning yesterday. Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Missouri members can create artwork recognizing influential Black men and women from around the globe. Organizers say they don't just want the kids to draw the figures, but understand what makes them iconic.
It actually has a readout on it of everything that they've accomplished in their lives. So the staff is actually showing them their pictures, and they're getting them involved with that as well, whether it's reading it off to them or them reading it themselves.
Finalists will be chosen, and anyone 18 and older can vote for their favorite artwork online in February. A teen snowmobiler survived being stranded by building himself a snow cave. Great story. The teen got separated from his group on a mountain in British Columbia, Canada. Rescuers were alerted and sent out a search party immediately. Within hours, the teen was found. He was safe in a snow cave shelter that he'd built in a tree well. The boy said he was prepared for a rough night and thanked his rescuers. Mountain safety organizations are praising the teen's survival skills and quick thinking.
Say how old he is, or just teenager?
Just teen, yeah.
I got this. No, the wherewithal to do that. That's. I don't know. I guess maybe if you live up, maybe if you're living up there, maybe that's one of the things mom and dad teach you. I don't know. Like I said, that's ingenious of that kid to come up with that idea. Freeman Health System Sky Camera, we don't have to worry about any winter weather like that. 27 degrees is where we stand right now. We do have a wind chill, though, only feels like it's 20. Dry throughout the entire Midwest, with temperatures ranging from the low to high 20s. Yet to really see anybody crack the 32-degree mark. South wind going to come in, gust up to 30 miles per hour a little bit later. And this is the system that we'll keep our eyes on down in central Texas, although anything we do see is going to stay to the far south and is going to be light. Clouds gradually build. We'll make it up into the 50s. So it'll eclipse that 48 here by the time the afternoon's over. And then at the bottom of your screen, there's the light rain that wants to work in for Wednesday night into Thursday morning, pushes off. And after that, we're back into the 50s for Thursday before a little bit of a cold front. These are actually pretty normal temperatures, though, for the latter third of January on Friday and Saturday. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Right now, President Trump delivering his final remarks as president at Andrews Air Force Base. Our question on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our Insta poll, how you think history will remember the presidency of Donald Trump. Richard Allen Fredrickson says that he was unashamedly the most corrupt president in U.S. history. Vicki Eldridge, she says history will remember Trump as one of the best presidents for the Republic of the United States. And Joe Johnson says, I will remember Trump as the best president in history. The only president in my lifetime that didn't put in a war, negotiated peace worldwide, kept all his promises except one, built the greatest economy in world history, all while being attacked constantly. Joe says the sheer amount of hate he had to endure and the accomplishments he's done proves he's the toughest man alive. On our morning Insta poll, it's pretty close. Right now, 46% of you say history will remember him favorably. 44% unfavorably, 10% say mixed. You got your chance to have your voice heard. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now, over to our own Jesse Irwin.
Well, this morning we're joined by Teresa Smith with the Carthage Humane Society, which is going to be holding quite the event this morning. First of all, Teresa, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
So, Teresa, for those who aren't familiar with Jordan's Way, do you mind sort of giving some background to this and explaining what the cause is?
Jordan's Way is a charitable. They've been on the Hallmark Channel a couple of times promoting their charitable event. This man, Chris Ratana, was a man that had lost his dog in 2018, and it was a shelter animal. So she wanted to start helping shelters raise money in the needs that they had for these shelters and clear the shelters. So he is visiting all 50 states this year, and we're number 12.
It's a pretty amazing story. So if you don't mind, explain how the Carthage Humane Society got involved with this and what the last week has looked like, because I know you guys have been pretty busy.
We went into an interview, and when we finished the interview, they said that they have chosen us to do the fundraiser. So we have had since Thursday at 2:00 to pull a massive fundraiser together by Wednesday on January the 20th. So I first contacted the chamber to help us to get the word out. And Chief Dagnan over at the Carthage Police Department, and started getting the word out first. And once we got the support and people taking on those little bitty tasks that helps pull it together, within 24 hours, we had a game plan going.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome day. Do you mind just giving us the details of how people can get involved, whether they want to attend or they want to watch the live stream?
From 10:00 to 2:00. If you're not able to come out and be present to cheer this fundraiser on, then please, join in on the Facebook, because when you join in on the Facebook, we are calculating how many people are viewing it. So we are looking to be nationwide by 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll go all the way to 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Teresa, thank you so much. Best of luck this morning. Hope it goes well. Thanks for joining us. All right, we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Another U.S. retailer is offering its workers an incentive to get COVID-19 vaccines. Grocery store chain Aldi announced Tuesday it will provide its hourly workers up to 4 hours of paid time off to receive the vaccine. According to Aldi's, workers can get 2 hours of pay for each dose they receive. The company says it will also cover the cost of vaccine administration for employees. Dollar General, Trader Joe's, and Instacart have made similar moves. Sources say President-elect Biden plans to put the shutdown development of the Keystone XL pipeline. In fact, the incoming administration plans to rescind the permit for the pipeline on day one. Now, according to two sources familiar with the decision, they say the president-elect plans to make the executive order one of his first actions on climate change. The Keystone pipeline system stretches more than 2,600 miles, carrying crude oil from Canada into Texas. The XL section has been protested and opposed by numerous indigenous groups. Well, guns and ammunition are flying off the shelves in Central Florida, and some of those buying say they're looking to stock up before President-elect Biden's inauguration, fearing the Biden administration will be making changes to gun laws in the U.S. Holly Bristow reports.
Some of the most popular guns like Glocks are nearly impossible to find right now, same with anything else that is easy to conceal. And if you need ammunition for a 9mm weapon, well, guess what? If you can find it, you're going to pay a premium for it.
A long line of people waiting for the doors to open at Academy Sports and Outdoors in Lake Mary. Folks started camping out around 2 a.m.
What brings you out here today?
Ammo. The incoming president.
You're afraid?
The administration.
You're afraid the gun laws and ammo laws may change?
Absolutely.
I think we all believe Biden's going to try to take it away from us.
Right now, finding ammunition difficult. These guys figuring out the scheduled delivery days.
I just come here on Monday. Tuesdays I go to Buena Vista. Wednesdays I go to East Colonial. Thursday Buena Vista. Friday East Colonial. And then on Sunday I go to Millennium.
I mean, do you have like a stockpile at this point?
I tried to.
David Godkin telling me Academy limiting 3 boxes per person. He was about the 10th in line. Selection already limited.
I got 2 boxes of 9s, which is for the handgun, and a 223, which is for a rifle. A good day. Could have been a better day if it's been all 9s, but that's okay.
Across town at Volusia Top Gun, similar story. Owner Ron Perkinson showing us empty gun cases. His ammo supply low, saying since the pandemic hit, sales have been up 100% at Black Friday numbers every single day. And the last 2 weeks,
Trump had mentioned that it'd be a peaceful transfer of power or whatever exactly it was he said. It seems like since then it's been even more crazy than the crazy that it was.
Up another 100%. A box of ammo selling for $14 max a year ago, now selling for $37.99, and he can barely keep it in stock.
I could have done 300% more if I had the inventory. You know, we're turning away a lot of people just for lack of inventory.
Same story with certain guns.
The AR-15s have picked back up. Obviously, any handgun, concealed handgun in the $500-600 range, they can't. They don't. Half of them not even making it to the case.
An owner of this gun store telling me he'd gotten about 300 cases of different types of ammunition earlier this month. His supplier telling him he's not quite sure if he'll get any more for the rest of the year. It just all depends.
We'll be right back with What the Tech. It's time for What the Tech. Facebook says it has removed thousands of accounts linked to the QAnon movement. The social media giant initially announced it would crack down on QAnon last summer. The platform has come under increased scrutiny after the riot at the Capitol earlier this month. QAnon and other movements were players in that insurrection. Facebook says it has removed more than 18,000 profiles, 10,500 groups, and 3,000 pages since August of 2020 for violating its policies. It also says it has removed more than 27,000 accounts from the Facebook-owned platform, Instagram. Watched anything on Netflix recently? Well, you and about 200 million other people. Netflix just surpassed 200 million subscribers around the world. The company started in 1997 as a rental company that sent you DVDs in the mail. Look how far they've come. Now Netflix is one of the most influential companies in Hollywood. Even with all the streaming competition out there, Netflix said it recorded the biggest year of paid membership growth ever. Microsoft has joined in a $2 billion investment in self-driving car company Cruise. Founded in 2013, Cruise is mostly owned by GM. Cruise and Microsoft say the investment puts Cruise's total value at $30 billion. Microsoft joins Honda, which is already a major investor and partner in Cruise, and various institutional investors in the new $2 billion equity investment. Cruise and GM say they will use Microsoft's Azure cloud computing platform to help develop vehicles and services. Kroger shoppers could bid goodbye to waiting in checkout lines if the new shopping cart the grocery store chain has been testing takes off. The cart, nicknamed Krogo, is being developed with the tech startup called Carper. It's equipped with card reader, which allows shoppers to pay at the cart itself versus waiting at the register. The cart also has a scale for items sold by weight. The cart is being tested at a store in the Cincinnati area where Kroger is based. Hope your kids don't throw random things in your cart or weigh it down.
So I do really well at the self-checkout until I get to like produce, and then I find a way to mess it up.
My problem is, like, some stores you go to for self-checkout, you can put things in the bag and then move them into your cart, and then other times you have to have everything on the bag scales, and there's not room.
No, I'm with you on that one.
There's no room to go to a checker, and there's no room to put stuff in the bag, so it's like you're stuck. Like, I've got too many items for this, but I don't have a choice.
That's why pre-pandemic it was always useful to have a teenager with me, because they're infinitely smarter than me. Well, we could just be like, Caitlin, show me how this works.
I'm also very impatient when it comes time to wait.
What? You impatient?
Wait,
stop.
put it in.
Oh, you stop. Temperatures in the 20s right now. Still waiting on somebody to get up to 32 degrees. So a little bit of a chilly morning, but here's a nice thing. We're going to cruise into the high 40s, low 50s, even with some additional cloud cover. That's because that south wind is not going to calm down today. It's going to come in 15 to 20 miles per hour, gust up to 30 miles per hour. But look at this overnight. Ooh, that's going to be delightful January night. 40s and, only dropping down into the 30s. Now, we've been talking about a little rain from the south. If we do see it, it's going to be our far southern counties south of I-44, and it's going to be light. Nothing to concern ourselves with. And then right back into the 50s on Thursday. We'll be right back. Wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Joe Biden will be inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States today at 11 a.m. in an unprecedented and tense moment for the country. Unlike past inaugurations, the National Mall will be mostly empty for today's ceremony, due in part to security concerns following the assault on the Capitol. President-elect Joe Biden is set to introduce a comprehensive immigration reform bill that will address the millions of undocumented immigrants living in the U.S., boost border technology, and target the root causes of migration. It gives an immediate pathway to citizenship for farm workers, DACA recipients, and temporary protected status holders. Pittsburgh chapter of the American Red Cross will hold its annual Battle of the Badges blood drive and chili cook-off today from 1 to 7 at the Frisco Event Center. Donors will get to help replenish blood supplies and judge the best chili from the Pittsburgh Police and Fire Departments. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
I should have known Battle of the Badges was today, because you know what happens every year on this day? It's like old farm show. You knew it was going to be windy. We've done live shots out there, and every year it is so windy for that event. Anyway, it's going to come out of the south, but lifts our temperatures up into the 50s. Remember, any rain that we get tonight, it's going to be far southern counties, and it's going to be light, and then we're right back into the 50s for tomorrow.
Mega Millions lottery is now worth nearly $1 billion. According to Mega Millions, there was no jackpot winner of Tuesday night's drawing. That means the jackpot grows to $970 million. The cash option is a little more than $716 million. It's the second largest jackpot in the game's history. The next drawing is set to take place this Friday.
I wonder if that guy who announces the numbers right there, and I'm dead serious when I say this, I wonder if he's allowed to play.
Oh,
You know
I
how
doubt it.
sometimes if you're an employee of a place, you can't play the game? I'm curious to know if he's allowed to buy a ticket.
I don't know, but hopefully he gets a raise each time it goes up too.
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad gig now, would it?
Yeah.
All right,
He
thank
probably
you
can't
all.
play.
Thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.